Hello and welcome to the Greg Fearon podcast with your host Greg Fearon, and back again. I have the awesome chef Joe Colley Keyes. How are you?
Hello,
Welcome
how
back.
you doing? Yeah, thank you for inviting me back. It's always good to chat to you, Greg.
Yeah, well, hey, that's why I have you back because you're good to chat to too. So, yeah, this is awesome. So, what's been happening? It's been a while since you came on.
Well, it has been a while, and yeah, I think like a lot of people, I've been in some kind of weird COVID shell. Lockdown brought very different things for different people, but for me, the beginning was absolutely fine and kind of transitioned the business online a bit and did some online cook-alongs and stuff. But the second one kind of just, sucked the life out of me, I think, is probably the
It's
best way
really,
of putting
it's
it.
really weird. I'm hearing this a lot. A lot of people are saying, yeah, the first one was all right. The second one just
Yeah.
knocked me for six.
Yeah, it really did. I just think that a lot of people just got so fatigued with the Zoom thing and being stuck in the house with the same people all the time. And you lose that social interaction and knowing how to do that. And then people kind of became almost afraid of doing that a little bit. So when we started to come out of, and being able to do things, I think it took people a long time. And I still don't think we're quite there yet. I think September, when the kids go back to school, and then we've been on holiday but yeah, so I think, yeah, it's been a strange one, certainly business wise and personally wise, and I think all the changes in routines have affected us all in numerous different ways. Having to, for me, training became at home. I was down the CrossFit gym, but I've stopped doing that now. And we're building a gym at home, but it's all in the living room now. And we're training at home, which is great, not having to get up too early and go out, but, has its benefits. But it's just that learning a new thing, and still the uncertainty of what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
Do we personally, everyone's going to be different, do we personally want to go back to exactly what we were doing before, or have we found something that's working better for us? And it's just picking and choosing the things that are working for us, and the things that we're missing, and actually stepping out there and not being too scared to go back out there and go back and do some of the things that you were doing before, and try and see if see if that's working for you, and then from a nutrition perspective, your eating habits, because your routine is all out of whack, then your eating routine goes all out of whack as well. So I think it's been a very strange couple of years.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever we'll sit back in about 5 years and go, what on earth was that? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
what
I
happened?
think, yeah, we'll always be, yeah, in shock, really, I think, still.
That blur of that time. Yeah, children, it didn't happen. It's
Yeah,
a myth. Just ignore it because we
yeah,
can't kind of talk about it anymore. The trauma of it. So
yeah.
you can't. We kind of reached out to me and said, "Greg, need some help. Got some questions. What was going on for you?"
Yeah, so I think this is all kind of tied up in the whole COVID thing as well, really. I'm a natural chef and healthy eating educator, so very much feel that I know what I should be eating. And as I say, I've been training for years, regularly. Do sort of a mix of CrossFit and Pilates, and the CrossFit is partly sort of strength training,
Hmm.
using the weights and, the metabolic conditioning. So it's a nice balance of a bit of cardio and strength, and the Pilates as well. So I feel I've got a good balance there, and I've continued to do that, although in a different place,
Yeah.
all the way through lockdown, continued to do that. But I was starting to feel a little bit uncomfortable in my skin, if I'm honest, starting to feel a little bit soft in areas I didn't like to feel soft in, and particularly around the middle, obviously. And the look in the mirror and the clothes weren't kind of feeling as nice as I wanted them
Yeah.
to, you know, and as I say, I knew that obviously the other thing was that there was a bikini holiday on the horizon as well, so that obviously plays into that little,
Yeah.
looking in the mirror as you're getting dressed. And so, I had to be honest with myself. I needed to make some form of change, and as I say, as a natural chef, I eat very healthily, However, something wasn't quite working as it had been. And I think we just have to be honest with ourselves and learn to listen to our bodies, but be careful of the self-talk. I've become aware of this kind of negative self-talk started, and I was trying very desperately to keep that in check, and just be honest about what I wanted to achieve, and that what I was doing at the moment wasn't working. So I reached out to you, Greg, because I knew that you would be able to sort of steer me in the right direction. I knew that the tweaking was probably going to be, because I'm not a big fan of calorie counting. You can read my blog and find out why, but we can talk about that later.
Yeah, no, that's going to be a good discussion.
But I knew that I needed to track more my macros, because I had a niggly feeling that I've always been fairly traditionally low carb, and because of that, probably my fat content, fat intake was too high of a percentage, and probably with all the training I wasn't getting enough protein. So I knew it probably wasn't right, but without tracking it, I had no idea. So I started tracking it, and then came to you, Greg, and said, this is how it is, this is what I'm trying to achieve, this is the bit about sort of sports nutrition and stuff that that's not my specialist area, and I know it is yours. So yeah, just wanted to talk it through with you, Greg, and as ever, you told me what I needed to hear, which was that I needed to up my protein, lower my fats, and increase my carbs, which I did, and I started doing that. And at the same time, obviously, you start to track your calories just by default, really, which I always find an eye-opener, and it hasn't changed my mind about the way I feel about calories at all. But I was aiming for around, a weekly average of sort of 1,400 calories a day.
Yeah.
And that wasn't, I never found that difficult, really. It was getting those percentages in the right balance, which obviously in turn has an effect on the calories, because if I'm eating 60% fat and then I drop that to 30% fat, obviously my calories are gonna decrease.
Yeah.
But that was the thing I found most difficult, because my go-to for protein particularly would obviously be oily fish, eggs, nuts, seeds, and I knew I had an addiction to nut butter.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
Once you start,
I'm in total rehab now. I haven't had, I was going from kind of at least a jar a week to, one portion a week. And that, that was just a habit, and it's those things that you just have to be honest with yourself. And yes, I know it's healthy, but not the amount I'm eating.
And when you do actually just go back and track stuff, because, let's be honest, we all track stuff in our life. We track our bank account, we track what's going on in our business, or, so we track things all the time. But when we get back and track our nutrition, it's a real big eye-opener. So so apart from the fats, what else did you kind of see and go, ooh?
Well, the carbs, bringing up the carbs. So as I say, traditionally low carb. When I say that, I mean, I was never one to eat rice or potatoes and stuff like that. I would always get my carbs from vegetables, and it's quite difficult to get enough carbs from vegetables. So I started to up my oats. I don't mind eating oats. So I was upping the oats, sort of the quinoa, the lentils, sweet potato, those kind of portions. It was just kind of tweaking what my plate looked like. And I was still having all the salad and all the vegetables, which I would normally have, and just trying to increase the portion size of those, especially sort of earlier on in the day. Because otherwise I felt it left me quite heavy at night time and tummy a bit uncomfortable, especially if it was too many lentils and things like that. So it's again listening to your body and working out whether your body is working well as well, because you know, if you're eating things that are making you feel uncomfortable, because not everyone can tolerate beans and lentils and lots of stuff
Yeah.
like that, you know, because it ends up being too much fiber and we end up constipated and bloated. And so it's just listening to your body. So I had to take it quite steady.
Mm.
Um, I think the other biggest change was that I was traditionally eating kind of a 16-8 eating plan. So
Right. Okay.
fasting for 16 hours and eating for 8.
Hmm.
But I always trained ridiculously early in the morning. So I always train fasted anyway, because otherwise I'm sick. And which is fine.
Yeah.
But then I would then not necessarily eat until sort of 11 o'clock at 10-11 o'clock in the morning. So I wasn't really refueling my body afterwards either.
Mm.
And I think that kind of was stalling my metabolism, I would say. And so on your recommendation, I introduced the proteins and carbs straight after training, or within an hour of training. So I was introducing the protein shakes a bit more to help me up that protein.
Yeah.
So having a protein shake with some oats blended in
Nice.
within an hour of finishing training, I think made a big difference as well.
So did you feel like you had more energy?
Yeah, so as particularly with the cardio sessions, I just felt a little bit more fired up, a little bit more energy. So I just think the glycogen stores, the muscles were being replenished at the right time, and the protein was recovering the muscles and repairing them afterwards better, so that then almost certainly the strength training was probably getting better as well, but that's more difficult to see you know, over a short period of time. But I have to say, within about 4 weeks, I was seeing, I'd already seen results. You know, and that's always quite motivating.
Yeah. Oh, we love seeing results, don't we? It's like,
Yeah,
ooh.
just feeling a bit better in my clothes, and the bikini look in the mirror was looking more pleasing. And we, we all like that, don't we? Let's face it.
Oh yeah.
And I always knew that I was eating healthily, so it was never about the health. This was the aesthetic side of it for me. And however much we say, a lot of people say, oh, it's not about what I look like, it's about the health. It is. And once you've got the health ticked, great. Then we're into the fine tuning, I think, is kind of where I was at that particular point. And yeah, those small tweaks made a big difference. I hate tracking. I now am not tracking at the moment. But after, as I say, I found it quite difficult for the first 4 weeks just to get the tweaking right and changing, the proportions of the plate, and finding the proteins without too much fat. As I say, because it would have been oily fish and nuts and seeds and things like that, which are protein, but they're bringing in a lot of fat as well. So going more down the chicken, white fish route for the protein, and protein shakes. So I was working on a basis of 30% fat, 30% protein, and 40% carbs.
Nice.
Is that right?
Yep, that adds 200.
Yeah. I tried to go down to 25% fat and 45 carbs, but that was just that wasn't settling very well. So that's where I'm at now, or was until I went on holiday. Of course. But we're getting back to it now. Yeah, getting back to normal now. But it starts to get more intuitive over time.
It's a little bit like driving a car, I guess. You have your lessons and you've got the instructor telling you to do every little thing, and then after a while it becomes like, oh, I know what my portions look like. I know what my meals need to look like.
Yeah. I mean, portion size was never really a problem for me, because I don't eat a huge amount. I love eating. I love my food, but I've never been one to eat massive portions of anything. But it just was the breakup of the plate, and where those the portion sizes of the fat were too high for what I was trying to achieve at that time. But I know, the other factor, I think, Greg, probably is you know, the lockdown, and definitely been a lot more sedentary over the last 12 months than I would normally have been.
Definitely.
And also, my hormones are starting to change. I'm getting to that age that I can't deny. You know, the hormones are going to start changing, and I have to change with them.
Hmm. And I think, sorry, go on, carry on.
Yeah, I would say, and also being honest about what you're prepared to change. I mean, I think I said to you on the phone, you know, I'm not going to be. Let's be realistic. I'm not going to be giving up my prosecco at the weekend. Um, not for any great length of time, anyway.
Yeah.
And so it was just building that in and being honest that's what my weekend. I like to do that at the weekend. That's one of my ways to relax. I work hard, I train hard during the week, and it's just factoring that in, and doing the tracking almost gave me the freedom to do that, and to know what the consequences of doing that, and having, you know, half a bottle of prosecco on a Friday and a Saturday night has on the calorie count.
So it's really interesting that sometimes I think people really, when they look at tracking their food, they're like, oh, it's really restrictive. But like you said, it gives you information and freedom.
Yeah, I think so. And that is the only benefit I see from tracking, really. You know, I in terms of sort of going back to that calorie counting thing, is that it's things like that you just have to be honest, you know, because I think people forget that alcohol contains quite a lot of calories.
Oh yeah, 2 wines.
It's not food, it doesn't count. It's on a Saturday, it doesn't count. Sadly, it does.
Yep.
And it is just that honesty with yourself about that, really. And you can't go to your trainer and say, it's not working. Yeah, but that's what you did at the weekend. In fact, I do remember my first personal trainer, in fact, my one and only personal trainer, you know, he used to say to me, you work so hard, but then you just mess it all up at the weekend, don't you?
Well, there is this mentality, and I don't know if it's a British mentality, where we just go YOLO at the weekend.
Yeah.
It's like, right, I've down tools. I don't have to work. Friday, the wine's out at 4 o'clock in the afternoon or whatever it is, and it's like, doesn't matter. I'll start again on Monday.
Yeah, and that's fine if that's what you want to do. But if it's not helping you achieve what you want to achieve, then don't come crying to your personal trainer.
don't do your stats and go, oh, it's not working, because
No, and don't beat yourself up about it. You've got to accept that those are the choices that you make. At the end of the day, they are all just choices. And how much do you want to achieve that goal?
Yeah.
Is really the key, and being honest with yourself about that, and what you're prepared to change and give up. And being honest about, you know, if drinking is the, you know, the thing at the weekend, what else does that lead to? So I know for myself, if I have too much of that, that will lead to the, oh well, it doesn't really matter, I'll have that packet of crisps and that and that and that. You know, it's
the snowball.
You know, and if you're doing that every weekend, that's not an occasional treat at the weekend. That is every weekend. That is just habit.
And I think you said that you hit the nail on the head. It's about being honest about what you're doing. And that's probably the bit that people find the hardest, isn't it?
Very much so. Yeah, because we all like to, you kind of just delete it, don't you? You delete the things. It's like looking at your life through rose-tinted glasses, which is all very well. And there's nothing wrong with doing any of these, making any of these choices if you don't want to achieve your goal, or if you want it to take longer to achieve your goal. But you have got to also be honest about what is sustainable for you. You know, if you decide you want to achieve your goal quicker and you're going to cut out all the alcohol and all the treats and everything like that, that's fine. But it's not sustainable, in my opinion. You have got to find something that works for you on a long-term basis, so that once you achieve your goal, I don't think you ever really achieve your goal. You can get to a point, but if you've got to have a continued plan, you've got to have a continued healthy norm, as it were,
Yeah.
to be able to maintain that. Otherwise you end up on this yo-yo, which is what we want to move away from. It is about moving towards a healthy normal, your new healthy normal.
Hmm. Well, it's like,
You know,
people say
yeah,
this, it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. Well, funny, because diet actually comes from the word lifestyle and habit. But anyway, that's a whole nother discussion. But yeah, people get to the goal and go, I've made it now.
yeah.
That's it.
And then what? And then what? They go back to what they were doing before.
Hmm.
I've made it, so I can just go back to what I wanted, what I was doing before, drinking and eating whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. If you do that, you're back to square one and worse
Hmm.
quicker. You know, I see that all the time with clients. You know, they want to achieve weight loss particularly, and they will achieve it, but then they don't have a plan for afterwards.
Mm.
They're not. It's about changing your habits for life.
Yeah.
um, and and because of that, if you are looking at it from that perspective, you've got to make the choices that are sustainable. Otherwise it is just a crash diet and not a lifestyle diet.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And that's a really big thing. I think people go all in. It's like nothing else in the world matters now. I'm just going to literally hone in on this, going to be the only thing. And they kind of
Mm.
forget they've actually got another part of their lives around it. And
Yeah,
that's why do you think that happens?
because they get fixated on something. You know, be it the bikini for the holiday, be it the wedding, be it the event that you've got to go to with people that you used to go to school with, or whatever it might be. There is a certain motivation towards a goal or a time scale.
Hmm. Yeah.
And then, but they don't think about how the long-term effects of that. And they just want to get to that goal as quick as they can, and they will restrict themselves so much, and they'll achieve. You
Hmm.
know, they'll go on these eating plans. You know, I think you did a post on this not recently, didn't you? I
Yeah.
think, you know, you go because it's difficult for them to work out for themselves what they're doing or
Hmm.
what works for them. And I understand that, which is why you have professionals like you and me to help people make those decisions and plans with them that work for them, that are personalized. Because a plan that you buy off Facebook or internet or whatever, um, however qualified those people are, unless it's personalized to you and takes into account of everything else you've got going on in your life,
Hmm. Yeah.
you just follow it for those 12 weeks and then you don't know what to do afterwards because somebody's telling you what to do.
Hmm.
You have to work out what is right for you, because your body works different to everybody else's,
Yeah.
and your goal is going to be different to everybody else's. And the amount of exercise you do, the amount of sleep you get, the amount of stress you're under, the amount of children you've got, the amount of downtime you get, it's different for everybody, and nobody else can work it out for you. I'm sorry to say that because I know people don't want to hear that. You can get help, but you have got to be invested in it yourself, for life. That's my view anyway.
Watching this on YouTube, this is I'm just giving Joe's a high five, hallelujah, praise the Lord, preach.
Yay.
But it is. I mean, we are really weird. Like, so for me, DIY, I don't do it. Like maybe I'm not a manly man. I don't know. But anyway, but I'll pay someone to do it because it's just not my. I can paint, but I'm
Yeah,
not going to do the plumbing or do plastering because I know that's not my skill set.
yeah.
Is it because there's so much information out there about nutrition, health, and all that stuff that people think I can kind of cobble it together and try and do it myself?
I think people get confused, and I think they get sort of information overload, and different people will tell you different things,
Hmm.
which is why I'm saying that you can't go to, you know, pick up bits off the, off the socials and you know, some people will tell you to do keto, some people will tell you to go paleo, some people will tell you to do 15-2 fast for this time, you know, and this is take this quiz and it'll tell you exactly what's going to work for you, and it'll get rid of all your belly fat in 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah, I hate those things. Oh, carry on the
Yeah,
rant. I love
it you know, even I get hooked in sometimes, and I think I know that it's not going to work on a long-term basis unless I work it out for myself. But I still get hooked in and go, what are they going to tell these people? You know, even I'm intrigued to know, what is it? What is the secret that you're going to tell everyone? It's nothing we haven't already heard before from, you know, but it's just trying to, you have to listen to your body, be honest with yourself about what you want to achieve and what you're prepared to do to achieve that, and how long you want your achievement to last.
Love it.
If you only want your achievement to last, your goal to last, your 2-week holiday to look good in a bikini, crack on. You know, you know, there are those 2-week crash diets, or, you know, that will bring you down to whatever it is you want to get to. But unless you're prepared to carry on with something afterwards, it will all go back on and more, if it's, you know, from a weight perspective.
You just made a very good point. Sorry, go on. I've got to carry on. I'm going to jump in with a point. It's just about the psychology of all the information we see out there. Because I'm not going to lie, I'll see something on training, I'll be like, ooh, oh, actually, it's actually just a reproduction of what we already know.
Yeah,
it's how the psychology, and it's all sexed up. It's all like people write this stuff so amazingly well that even us as professionals, like, ooh, what's that? They just do it so well.
And you're good at it yourself, though, Greg. But the stuff that you say at the end is sensible. Do you know what I mean? So I think it was it might have been yesterday. You know, this one thing.
Oh yeah.
This one thing will increase your training results by 150%. Just this one thing, and I'm like, oh, what's he going to say? Oh yeah, of course. Make a plan. It is, make a plan.
Gotcha.
Which is, yeah, but that's it. Is that, you know, that's how people get hooked in, which is great. It's great marketing. But what you say at the end is something sensible. Quite a lot of the time, you know, you'll get hooked in, and before you know it, you've paid $50 for them to tell you to eat soup for a week. You know. Because I did download just purely from it was all about this. You watched this program, this video for about 25 minutes, and they told you all this information, and they sounded so knowledgeable, and it was all around hormones and da. And I said to Rob, I said, I just need to know what they're going to say, and they gave you a meal plan for 2 weeks, and it was literally just the benefits of it were that you beat in about 500 calories a day. And it's like, well, of course that's going to work, but I could do that. I don't need to pay $50 to be told to not eat.
So did it go something along the lines of, hi Joe, your hormones feel out of whack?
Yes.
You're getting a bit soft around the edges. Yes. Do you feel that you haven't got the energy that you once had?
Yes.
Do you feel like you don't want to exercise because you don't have time? It's literally listing out the symptoms, and you're going, ooh. Oh, it is. Yeah.
Well, that's it. But that's how people get pulled in, and we all do it, and we do have to do that. But you have to have something solid at the end to be able to, and sensible at the end to deliver. I think otherwise it's just rude marketing, because it is addressing people's pain points, and we all have these pain points, you know. And quite a lot of them are the same. You know, I've got a new workshop series coming out starting, thank goodness, after all this time, starts in October. Booking will open the end of August. But it's looking at all the different interconnections from nutrition. So it's called Nutrition, the Mind-Body Connection. So we're going to be looking at nutrition for sleep, nutrition for healthy mind, nutrition for exercise, nutrition for the gut, healthy gut, and then the last one is nutrition for life, which is basically gonna all the nutrition, like the science behind the nutrition and the biological chemical pathways and everything for all those other four are interconnected. So you can't get one right. If you get one out of whack, it has a domino effect on all the others effectively. So the last one is kind of just bringing it all together and connecting all the dots from a scientific, biological, chemical perspective. And so how do we nourish ourselves with the right nutrition without it becoming complicated? Unless you've got a major issue that needs to be addressed, you have to look at the bigger picture. You have to look at nourishing your gut at the same time that will nourish your mind, at the same time that will help you sleep, at the same time that will then help you exercise. They are all interconnected. So that's where we're kind of just want to give people the truth, really, and demystify it all and just teach people how to eat healthily on a daily basis, so that the goals that they're trying to achieve of health, which will then in turn, if weight is the issue, which I think for a lot of people is where it starts, that your body will find its own equilibrium, which will manage its own weight. It may not be the weight that you want to see in the mirror, but you also have to accept sometimes that that's not how your body best works. At 8 stone when you're 6'4" or whatever, that's not how your body is built. So it's just trying to get people to give people the information to be able to then build their own healthy eating choices.
Awesome.
Well, just make the right choices to feel confident to make the right choices on a long-term basis.
So, and that sounds like an amazing program, and obviously I know you've run it for a few times now. You've got some amazing results. Do you think people are just scared of making the right choices, or is it a combination of things?
I think it's a combination of things. I think it takes time, and people are not very good at sustaining things for time. Habit change takes time, and people want instant results, and it's not. That's not the way I work. We're talking about getting healthy for life. Yep. We're not crash dieting for a bikini, and I think people struggle with that, and the enormity they feel of the changes that they will have to make.
Yeah,
it is too big, and it's getting people, and they want to do it all now. It's getting people to understand that you don't have to do it all now. You have to look at where you start from. That's the other thing about getting on other people's plans, is they don't know where you start from. I mean, if I went on a plan of someone who's never looked at healthy eating before, it's that's something else. Sorry, it's just a little side thing there. Yeah. Is that you've got to look at where you're starting from. Where can you make the biggest wins by just changing one thing? That might be just drinking more water every day. Get that sorted. Don't try and do 15 things today or this week.
And it's so funny, I did a podcast about this just the other day, just talking about we need to stop trying to do everything at once.
Yeah.
And like you just said, if someone drank up their water by 1 litre a day, that would have an amazing impact on everything else. But I guess people are looking for the one thing that will drive the scale down. Is that where the problem comes?
There isn't one thing that will do that. There isn't one thing that will do that. And there is no magic pill. There never will be a magic pill. We've got to be honest about that. So, start with water. Change what you eat for breakfast to a high protein breakfast instead of a high sugar breakfast.
Yep.
And
maybe even, some people fast. I know you were fasting in the past, and maybe fasting really doesn't work for you, because people try these things like, 16-8, I saw my mate do that. But like you said a couple of times now, it's about you as an individual, right?
and being able to tweak that. 16/8 was working for me for a long while, but I think now certainly it's not working for me anymore. I'm not gaining the benefits. I think my metabolism was probably a little bit sleepy because of it, having done it for such a long time. So it's and that's okay. It's knowing that that's okay. That was working then, but our bodies change, our lifestyle changes, our environment changes. We have to look at those things as well, and be able to tweak and change and listen to our own bodies, and be honest, that what's working for the lady next door might not work for you, and what you've been doing has been working before may not be working now.
And like, you could have, if your twin sister had decided to message me at the same time, but had mentioned that she doesn't train, doesn't sleep well, then even though you're genetically identical, your lifestyle's different. So the approach in nutrition or the strategy is going to be so different.
Yeah, very much so. And I think that's where people find it difficult, is because they want it to be easy. They want the magic pill. They want to know that within 3 weeks that changes will have happened, and they'll have cracked it. But it's not. It isn't that simple. I know people want to think that it's that simple. It is simple, but it just takes time, and you can't rush it if you want it to last forever.
Yeah,
I think.
Oh, so many. Do you know what? Right, we could talk about this stuff like.
I know.
Ever. Like, the time just goes so fast. When we start talking, it's like, oh, it's 10 minutes. The next thing you know.
Well, it makes me laugh because I was thinking beforehand, oh, what are we going to talk about? Maybe I need to write some questions, and and then I thought, nah, it's Greg. We can talk about these things for hours. I did write some notes.
Oh my God! Look at.
I'll turn it into a blog.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. People who don't watch this on YouTube again, Joe's just produced these amazing notes. I'm like so impressed and love the organisation.
Yeah, I just have to get my head straight before I come on, and just get my thoughts straight, I think it is. And
have you looked at it once during this whole conversation?
No, not once. I never do. But as I say, it's the beginning of a good blog.
Oh yeah, perfect. Hey, feel free to use this conversation in your blog as well. I was going to ask you a question as well. Oh yeah, so something you mentioned earlier, way back in the conversation. So my mind's a nightmare. I just jump around. You're eating more carbs. Like, yeah. Surely that's not allowed. Like, that can't happen.
Well, it's interesting actually, because as I say, I've done keto, I've done paleo, I've done all sorts of things, over the last 15 years, and just have always gone traditionally low carb. And when I say that, it is, I've always stood, I don't eat pasta, I don't eat rice. Although today you'll be very proud of me. Today I am testing a recipe of a veggery, so a vegan or vegetarian it will be, not vegan because I might put an egg on the top, kedgeree, which will be made with brown rice and split peas. So you'll like that. But I'm actually enjoying eating the carbs now. But I still don't eat those carbs. It is more sort of beans, lentils, quinoa, sweet potato. Those are my, and I call those the big carbs. But then I also have, my vegetables.
Fruit maybe sometimes as well, of course.
Yeah, I do. I eat more. I do. I like my berries, raspberries.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily count those in my big carbs. They're my smaller carbs. So yeah, I do. So that's where I would get. But it's you have to eat a lot of raspberries and apple to get up to the. I traditionally wouldn't have eaten bananas either.
Okay.
But they're featuring a bit more as well.
But you train CrossFit style, right? So you have to have the energy to do that work.
Yeah.
And under fuel themselves because I can't have carbs.
That was me. I have traditionally, that has been my mentality. and that's just a hangover from the very beginning when I had a lot of weight to lose.
Yeah, got
You
it.
know, and it is funny how I don't have weight to lose particularly now. It's just, toning, and it's tweaking. But when I had a lot of weight to lose, it was the carbs that I cut out first.
No, hey, and like you said though, different stages of life
Yeah,
require a different strategy. Simple.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so.
All
Very
right.
much so.
I just want to just lean into your expertise.
Ooh.
So you're running your program in October, I believe.
Yeah, so they're individual workshops this time. Very science, well, not very science, but nutritionally based, about what the nutrients are that you need to support different sleep, gut health, exercise, fueling for exercise. So learning from what I've learned from you and other research I've done, and for your mental health, and then providing recipes and demonstrating recipes that include those nutrients that will support those pathways for better health, really. So that starts in October, and we'll run actually the 5 workshops over time right through till spring next year.
Awesome. Sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be good to get back in the kitchen and get some new recipes going. And if you keep an eye on my Instagram, you'll see some of the recipes that are going to be up in those workshops. I'm testing them at the moment, and the veggery that I was just talking about is one of them that will be going into the exercise, eat for exercise, fueling your body. One.
Right, nice. So I'm because we could, like I said, we could be here all day, but I guess the big one is now you've run these workshops, you've been doing this, you've been helping people with their nutrition for a long time. Just leave people with your big 3 tips that they can take away and go, right, I can implement that because Joe says it. What can people take away from?
To become healthier, that's my thing. It is to make sure that you are taking in a nutrient dense diet, and so to do that, you have to have a wide variety of nutrients, which will come from fruits, vegetables, majoritively plant-based foods in every color of the rainbow. That is the way that you will get the nutrients into your body that you need. We all know that we need to eat carbs and protein and fats, but make sure that majority of your plate is filled with colorful vegetables. That is my one top tip. Oh, you want 3?
No, I want 3.
Oh, you want 3. Okay, so that's my first one. That's my first one. The second one is to processed food, cut that as low as you possibly can. Ultra processed foods that they've been talking about quite a lot in the press at the moment. Try and really keep those to absolute minimum. And other processed foods. I mean, they say that some things are processed that we wouldn't even think are processed, like, I don't know, even milk and things like that.
Yeah.
But I don't, it's sort of things like yogurts and things like that, sort of processed foods. So keeping them down, particularly the ones that have added sugar. So learn to read the labels, become a bit of a label fiend, have a look at the labels, see what's going into those foods. If you're buying foods that have got a label on, have a look at what they say. For example, you're just talking about milk. I drink soya milk sometimes, but I'm very particular about what soya milk I drink, because Morrison's organic soya milk is fabulous. It has soya and water. That's what we. If you buy another very popular brand,
like
beginning with an A, LPRO.
Alpro.
Yeah. If you read the ingredients of their soya milk, it's got quite a lot of other stuff in it. Doesn't need to be there. It's things like that. So just be a little bit more, take a little bit more interest in what's going into your basket and what's in the products that you buy.
Awesome.
So that's the second one. And my third one really is that water. I will always come back to that water. Drink more water. Make sure you are taking and hydrating yourself well, because it will keep your digestive system working properly. It will help you your brain work properly, and the knock-on effects of all of those things will help your sleep, will help your energy levels. All of those things work better if you're hydrated properly.
Awesome.
Those are my 3 top tips.
No, that's perfect. I know if I let you carry on, we'll be like, yeah, tip number 51. Yeah. So where can the listeners come and find you, listen to you, stalk you, all of that kind of stuff? Where can they find you?
Yeah, they can find me. I am Time to Nourish on Instagram.
Yep.
And Facebook page is the same. I have a Facebook group, a free Facebook group called the Time to Nourish Tribe. And actually, we're talking about sleep this week. So if you want to come in and have a little look at, lots of people are talking about the problems that they're having with sleep. And we actually came to the conclusion yesterday that actually we'd all sleep a lot better if we didn't have children, we didn't have pets, we didn't have husbands or partners, and we didn't have the menopause.
It was obviously the going to bed early that created the children.
Yeah.
So you got to take some responsibility, ladies.
I know, we have to take responsibility. But there are things that you can eat that might help you sleep. So yeah, those are the places: Instagram, Facebook, Time to Nourish.
Awesome, and I will make sure I get the links in the show notes as well.
That'd be fab. Thank you.
Yeah, got to share.
So good to talk.
I'm glad I could help you with your nutrition stuff. And
I was just going to say that, and thank you for setting me on the right path, because I knew that I needed a little bit of tweaking, and that you would have the expertise to tweak me in the right direction to achieve what I was wanting to achieve. And I'm getting back to it now. Now the holidays are over, we're getting back to some normality, and back to intuitive eating.
Well, then the big question becomes: did you feel good in your bikini on your holiday?
I did. I absolutely did. Felt great, which makes the holiday better, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, just let it all hang out. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you for coming on. I'm sure there's going to be another one at some point. We'll obviously stay in touch. But I've been loving your recipes, by the way, on Instagram.
Oh, thank you.
Right. Oh man, can she just come and cook for me?
Yeah.
But thank you very much for coming on. And yeah, listeners, if you're listening to this and you enjoyed it, go follow Joe. But also leave a review on this podcast so more people can hear about it. And we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah. Thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.